Hello, friends, and welcome to Coached by Tara, the podcast where Tara
Hi, that's me.
explains things to me. Hi, I'm Mike, and we are currently tackling Twilight, and we are on Twilight New Moon. But before we get to Twilight New Moon, which the grand return of Twilight New Moon, starting Chapter 1, will be Monday, May 23rd. And then we will be posting Season 2 every Monday after that. So we know it's been a long time since we've done CBT.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to try to continue to just make it roll. Maybe take a couple weeks off in between each season as opposed to the year or so we took off.
We had a lot of things happening.
Yeah, we had some things going on, but we got a better plan now. But yeah, welcome.
Is that this Monday?
That's next Monday.
Oh, next Monday.
The 23rd is next Monday. This Monday is the 17th or something. That sounds right.
Yeah.
It's really been over a year. Thank you everybody for being so patient.
Has it been over a year?
Yeah.
When did we do that watch-a-thon thing?
The watch-a-thon, I want to say, was in March.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy
of last
moly.
year. The 16th. Thank you, Sean. It's the 16th, not the 17th. 17th is Tuesday. But yes.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. We love you dearly. And today, what we're going to do, instead of starting the new book, I am going to try to recap. I think we all need a refresher because it's been over a year, like we said. I'm going to try to recap what happens in the first book. And Tara is going to try to correct me and rein me in when I get real crazy, because you know how I tend to do that. So, without further ado, let's recap
all of Twilight in 1 hour.
As fast as I can. So, we start with Bella.
Okay.
Right? And Bella is a bit of a klutz.
Okay.
And she's a bit quirky. And she's not like the other girls. I'm using the wrong finger. She's not like the other girls, right? Just not. She isn't. She likes hot weather. She doesn't like the weather of Forks, Washington, which is where she had to move to live with her father, Charlie, who is the sheriff of Forks, Washington.
You're right.
I'm right so far, right?
Yep. The book starts off where she's in Arizona. So.
Yes. She's in Arizona where her mom lives, but her mom is getting married to a semi-pro baseball player who moves around a lot. I don't remember his name.
Her stepdad, his name's Phil.
Phil. That's right, Phil. And Phil likes Lincoln Park. I remember this now. So,
yeah, a lot of these details come later, but you'll probably summarize them differently than they come around.
So, but that's why she didn't want her mom. Her mom was willing to stay there for her, but she decided she didn't want to make her mom do that.
Charlie poggers for real, because Charlie's the bomb.
Charlie's is pogs. So she moves to Forks, Washington, and she doesn't like the weather. She doesn't like, even though most people would think the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. I would.
I'm like dying to go there.
Right. So I think that I've been in Portland. It's a great place. She's just not like the other gals, and she shows up at school high school. She's a junior, and she meets some people. Simp Mike.
Yep.
Simp Mike, who clearly has a thing for her.
Oh yeah.
Anna Kendrick, who is
Anna Kendrick,
who is into Simp Mike, but he's not really.
What's her name?
Stacy.
No, try again.
Wendy.
No, this is a Peter Pan. Next.
Anna Kendrick.
Jessica.
Jessica, that's her name, Jessica.
Yeah.
And so she meets Jessica and quickly becomes friends with Jessica. Another girl named Angela, who's a little nicer than Jessica. Jessica's kind of like, you know. And then there's Mike, and then there's Tyler, who's a freak. And then there's also Tyler in the book. Because there's Tyler Rims, who's a freak. And then there's Tyler in the book, who's also a freak. And then, oh shit, what's the first guy's? Chess Club Steve? Chess Club Billy? What's his name? Chess Club.
No.
Alec? What's his name?
Eric.
Chess Club Eric. Anyway, she's at school, and she's like getting along with people, but she doesn't like all of them.
I love this recap because you don't remember like any names. It's so great.
And then she notices across the lunchroom these 5 people. 5? 5. 5 people that no one's sitting next to, and everybody's kind of ignoring it, and they look very disinterested, and but they're all very beautiful people. And it's we find out later that it is Emmett and Rosalie and Jasper and Alice and Edward, the Cullen family. And Jessica's like, no one really talks to them. They're weird. They don't show up for
They're
school.
weird.
They don't show up for school weeks on time sometimes. Like, they take all these trips. Their dad is Dr. Edward Cullen. Or not Edward Cullen, I'm sorry. Dr. Carlisle Cullen. I just said Edward.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. And Carlisle's daddy, if you ask anybody in the chat, they'll say
daddy.
he's daddy.
He's daddy, man. And
Batman's there.
I'm trying to keep up in my book, but it's hard.
Yeah, I'm dancing around a little bit. So basically she's intrigued by them, but like not enough. But then she gets a class where she sits next to Mr. Cullen, Edward himself. And he seems to have like a fear boner. Is the best way I can describe it.
It's the best way that you can describe it.
He's like gripping his seat. He's like not looking at her. He's being very rude when he does talk to her. It's like he can't handle being next to her because he hates her so much.
Oh my gosh, Tyler still worked at Walmart the last time ZBT last happened.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think about that. It's been a long time. So
this is not my water.
Yeah, don't drink Jason's water.
I almost put it to my lips.
That wouldn't have been good. So he finally just stopped showing up to school, and she's like pissed because she's like, "What the fuck? This guy hates me.
Yeah,
this is bullshit, right? Why does he hate me so much?"
And remember, she catches him trying to like switch his classes.
Right? Yeah. She walks into the office and she hears him like arguing with like the people about switching classes, and they're like, "No." And he's like, "Ugh," and then he storms out, and she's just like, "What the fuck? Why does this guy hate me?" So then, he leaves school for a while, and then Simp Mike's trying to like get with Bella, and Tyler's trying to get with Bella and ask her to the prom, and he's telling people that they are going to the dance together. He just starts telling people that.
When?
What do you mean when?
That happens after,
Oh, yes, you're right. I'm sorry, I skipped around. So, Tyler almost kills her by driving his car.
Correct. Yes, and Edward's back to school.
Edward's back to school, and he's being nicer.
Yep.
Or at least cordial. And then Tyler almost hits her with a car, and Edward just flashes in front and saves her somehow. And she's not really sure how, but she goes to the hospital, and...
Or she is sure how.
She's sure how, but it's like, it doesn't make sense, because it's not believable.
Yes, and he basically is gaslighting her into believing
he
that.
He gaslights her at the hospital into believing that
it's all
she
in her
didn't
head.
see what she saw, but she doesn't. She's not buying the gaslighting. She like knows she's being gaslit, basically. And so then, they start to be more friendly. But what happens is they're in class.
Yeah, exactly, Tyler. No one will ever believe you. Like, basically, he's like, even if you tell the truth, who's gonna fucking believe you?
So they're in class and they're like looking, or no, they're drawing blood from each other. Is that what they're doing?
For when?
In the class that they're making them draw blood to look at.
Yeah, there's a couple different experiments. Like the first time they're really cordial, like he's cordial. They're doing like slides of like the cell. Slides.
No, I mean he's not there when this happens, and she has to. Doesn't she have to be partners with Mike?
Yeah. So yeah,
he's not there.
She just doesn't even get. You don't even know. Like she doesn't even get to the point.
She just freaks out because she doesn't like blood.
Correct, and
she faints, and Mike's trying to get her to the nurse's office, and Edward shows up, and he goes, "Yo, I'm gonna carry you."
Yeah.
Right.
Because he hears it. He's just like outside of school.
Right. He's just hanging around outside of school.
Yeah.
And so then he kind of just like cucks simp Mike and says, "I got this." Brings her to the office, and they bond a little more because of that. And then they start bonding more throughout school. And
I would agree.
He's making fun of her because she's stuck behind him in traffic at the school, and he stopped on. Well, we find out later he stopped on purpose just so weirdo Tyler could ask her to the dance.
And I think Eric does too, or something.
Eric does
like
too.
They take turns or something.
Eric does like normally. He's a normal guy. He's just chess club Eric. He's like a nerd, but he's not like a weirdo. And then not normal Tyler does it while she's stuck in traffic, and she has to. And then Mike asks her as well, right?
Uh-huh.
But then she knows that like, Jessica is going to ask Mike, so she's like, "No, dude." And he's like, "Oh," and then he goes with Jessica anyway.
Yes, Eric does before she gets into her car.
She's having this rough day, and Edward's laughing. She's like, "I swear I could see Edward laughing at me," right?
Yeah.
I'm probably out of order with some of this. But the fact of the matter is they start to become friendly. And she says...
friendly.
So she has been telling people that she's not going to go to the dance because she's going to go to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
But before that, she decides to go with Angela to Port Angeles.
I think Angela and Jessica.
And Jessica to go dress shopping with them, even though she's not going.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So she goes with them, and then...
And remember, previous to this, I think it's previous. I should have probably studied my own book, but she goes to the beach.
Oh, does that happen before?
I think it happens
right, it does.
before.
You're right. She goes to a beach party. And it's like
Where
a
is
bonfire.
it?
And it's...
Is that La Push Beach?
Oh, I had no idea what that was called. La Push Beach. And a bunch of people there, and people she doesn't even know from her school are there. And one of these people is Jacob, who she actually does know, because Jacob's dad is friends with her dad.
Correct. And we actually meet them at the beginning of the book.
Yes, you're right. They're at the beginning of the book, but it's not super important. But
they just give the truck to her.
Right, they give her the truck. But so she's Jacob,
and Jacob doesn't go to her school.
I said people that don't go to her school.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said.
Sorry.
So there are people there that don't even go to her school.
Yes.
So
yes, Billy Black.
They kind of there's people like talking about like whatever, and
like myths basically.
Myths and stuff, and she asks about the Cullens, I believe, and then there's just like tall Native American dude that's just like,
the Cullens don't come here.
The Cullens don't come here. Not that they don't because they choose to, but they're not allowed to. Basically, is the context of it. And she's like, "Whoa, what does that mean?" So then she's asking Jacob about it, and Jacob, while they're walking, he's just kind of like fake flirting with him to get the info out of him because she can tell that he's sweet on her, and he's like telling her, "Well,
she does charm the shit out of Jacob.
Like I don't believe this, but my family says that they're vampires or whatever."
Mm-hmm. And it's like the urban family legend.
The urban
basically.
family legend is that they're vampires and
the cold ones.
The cold ones, yeah. Manipulates is a good term too.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they're like, she's like, "What? That's stupid," but she kind of believes it because of the car, because of that whole situation. She's like,
this podcast would be so scuffed without Tara.
yeah, it would. You're right. So she like believes it because she's like, wow, that's weird because he like saved me from the car in a supernatural way. And anyway, they then Port Angeles, they go there, and she goes dress shopping with him, but then she kind of breaks up. She goes, I'm going to look at this bookstore.
Yeah.
She likes books.
Well, and she's basically trying to find a book that confirms, like, her theories.
Yeah, she's doing some investigation.
Correct.
And so she gets, like, just decides to start wandering around.
Yeah, well, she can't, I think, like, I don't remember if she finds the bookstore or if she never makes it to it. I don't remember. I should know.
I think she goes in the bookstore, doesn't find anything she likes, and then it's like, I'll just go wander around, and then gets lost.
I think she was going to go try to find another place, and then she gets lost. Eventually, she gets lost.
So she gets lost, and she's, like, in a place where, like, people don't just walk around. And then these dudes start following her, and they're like, you know, they're going to do some fucked up shit, right?
They're pretty creepy.
They creepy follow her. And then out of fucking nowhere, just zooming in his car is Edward Cullen. He's like, "Brrr," you know, and she gets in his car, and he's like, fucking like.
Yeah, you're right, Diana. She has that introverted, clumsy charm that never works in real life.
So he's like, what were you doing out here by yourself? And she's like, I just blah blah blah. I was just walking around, and you can tell he's worked up, and she's like trying to talk him down.
Yeah, Tyler said that she could kind of feel some eyes on her in the bookstore. Yeah, that's true.
These dudes were chasing her for a while.
Yeah, they were kind of just hanging around. Yeah.
He gets weirdly possessive, and he's like, you know, you can't do things like that.
And Bella's like, what? Who, me?
Ooh. And then he takes her to the restaurant that she was supposed to meet Angela Jessica at, and they're there leaving because they already ate.
Which is like kind of a dick move.
They're like, oh, her ass didn't show up. We're gonna eat, right? So then he goes, it's okay. I'll eat with her. I'll just bring her home. And they're like, oh, okay. You know, they're like, ooh.
Yeah, ooh.
Bella and Edward. Oh, my gosh. And so they sit down to eat. And is this where he reveals what he is? Or does he do that in the car?
Good question.
I think he does it in the car because then she's
This is a recap for me, too. It's so sad because
she's asking him questions in the restaurant about it.
Correct.
Right. So I think he tells her in the car.
Yeah, they confirm. Correct.
Right. So because then she's asking him about his eyes, like when his eyes are that yellow color, does that mean he's fed? And he's like,
well, she asks so that she doesn't. Does she ask that question there or at school? Because remember she like is told or they confirm, and then they talk about the stuff they do at the restaurant, which is like the mind reading thing. But then like after that, remember they are like playing 20 questions basically at school, where like she gets to ask all the questions, or like I guess she's asking all her questions now, and then he gets to ask all the questions while they're at school.
Right, and she asks, well, at the dinner though, she asks like, "How did you know I needed help?" And he reveals that he can read minds. Basically.
Correct, and he's acting like Diana said, he's acting like someone we should not pursue. Like he's like, well, you should stay away from me though. Like
right.
Because I am a monster.
He starts pulling that stuff like, I'm dangerous. You shouldn't be around me. And she learns over time. She learns about his family, about Carlisle and Esme, and Emmett and Jasper, and Rosalie and Alice, and about how they're not really family, but they are a family. Yeah, he goes really fast in the car.
Yeah, he says something about life moving too slowly for him because he's like lived so many years. And like he gives her like an idea of how long he's been a vampire, I think, at that point.
Yeah,
maybe?
she tells that he was born in Chicago in like 1917 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's very early on in the beginning of that century.
Yeah, he can't read her mind.
Yeah, that he can't read hers. He can read other people's. And the reason he knew she was in trouble,
and they talk about that in the restaurant,
is because he read the future rapist's thoughts, and that's how he knew she was in trouble. And that's part of the reason why he's initially tracked. That's part of the reason why he was so freaked out by her at first. Is one, he couldn't read her mind, and two, she smells
so delicious.
Delicious.
His own brand of heroin.
Yeah, that's the cringiest line in the book, honestly. So then he
Basically, I don't remember what year in the 1900s, but it's like right before like the Spanish flu like hit Chicago. Basically, the plague.
right.
Because his parents died from the plague.
So basically,
his hands are her favorite necklace.
Oh no! Don't bring that up.
That's fucked up.
So basically, when she's supposed to be going to Seattle, they had make secret plans to go somewhere else together. Like she tells her dad Charlie she's going to Seattle.
Yep.
And
like on the day of what the dance would have been, yeah.
Right. And so they go to his favorite place up in the mountain.
It's a meadow, yeah.
Yes. And he shows her that he can be shiny. When the light hits him, I don't even understand how it's he's shiny. And
he sparkles like the diamond in the sun.
Do they? I'm reading this summary I have. Oh yeah, he gets real weird. Like he does this thing where he's like, you should be scared of me and da da da, and he like runs real fast and then like, breaks a tree branch. And
so like basically like the movie is pretty close to what that scene is. I would say pretty close overall. Like where he like does all these like examples of like.
But he's not.
You could never outrun me.
He's not just like running real fast. He's like, don't you see? I could kill you in an instant, kind of shit. Like he's like threatening her. Almost.
It's my least favorite movie scene too.
Yeah. Stem cells.
I could break you like a twig without a second thought, and no one could stop me. Type shit.
So. Anyway. And this is where he says the my brand of heroin thing.
Yep. But it's funny because he gets, I'm sure if you remember.
As if you could fight me off, yeah.
As if you darkness could fight me off, it says.
As if you could jack me off.
He, like, is so back and forth because, like.
He wants her, like, he wants her in the manner that he thinks he's in love with her. But he also wants her in the manner that he wants to suck her blood.
But remember, he's, like, doing all that stuff, and then, like, all of a sudden he's like, I'm fine, like, because he, like, lets her get really close to him.
Yeah, he's, like, limit testing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
He's basically limit testing.
And then, like, he's like, it's just so much easier now, you know?
So
yeah, exactly. Like Bella goes off with like a really dangerous person in the middle of nowhere without anybody knowing, and he gets like really mad at her. Like, remember, he's like, "You didn't even tell Charlie." Like, and she's like, "No."
So the sun starts to set, and they go to leave, and she gets on his back, and he runs really fast.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Corinne's right. He gets to the point where he's like, "Well, I can reconcile with myself that." He doesn't want to lose her more than he wants to suck her blood.
Yeah, it's like when I say I should stop eating sweets and then I still buy them, right, Tyler? It's very similar.
Yeah, because they walked all the way to that meadow, and then she runs all the way. They run all the way back.
So she almost gets sick, and when she has recovered herself, he leans in and kisses her for the first time.
Wow.
She responds wildly and kisses him back passionately, and he hastily pushes her away. So they're in a bittersweet mood when they get back in the truck.
Yeah, they're very back and forth, like.
Right.
Overall, I would say.
Yes. So they get back to Charlie's place, and he sneaks in the window to hang out with her. And that's where we find out
that he's been doing that.
That he's been watching her. That he's been sitting in her room while she sleeps and watching her. And instead of like, my dad's the police sheriff, please come down and help me, she's like,
oh my God.
You've been watching me? That's so hot.
That is hot.
What?
He is a creep.
So
he is a creep.
We find out that he doesn't sleep at all. He can't sleep. Sleeping's pointless to him. So he just spends all night just watching her.
Red flag arousing behavior. Still kind of hot.
Yo, my guy, there's like a million streaming services.
Not back in 2004.
I guess that's true. Not back in 2004. So, red flag still kind of hot.
It's funny though because like when I was reading it, I was the same. Like when I was reading it back then, I was like, "This isn't a red flag. He's
what,
like the
15?
hottest person ever." Oh God, in 2004, I was really young when I first read that.
Yeah, you were like super young.
I don't know. Is it that cringe?
Yes, Corin. It's very cringe. It's very cringe. So,
King shaming.
So they decide later on he wants to introduce her to the family officially.
It's like the next day.
The next day.
After that, I think.
So
I keep yawning. I'm sorry.
He's amazed that she's not scared of being in a room full of bloodthirsty vampires, but she's scared that they won't like her.
Correct.
And he's just like, that's ridiculous. So they
basically she's without reason this whole time,
right?
If you think about it, but would you be? I mean, he's like the hottest person alive, basically.
Yeah. Well, he's not alive; he's a vampire. So,
sure.
She meets them and Carlisle, and she's met Carlisle before, obviously from the hospital, but
he's still hot.
They're very nice. The only Jasper seems weary because he's the newest vampire, and he's a little nervous.
I would say he's standoffish at
Standoffish because he's like, she smells good, I want to eat her. Alice is obviously very nice, and
she doesn't have anything in her skull but air.
Emmett's nice, but Rosalie's kind of like.
Emmett's like big brothery kind of.
Yeah. Rosalie's like, what the fuck is this girl doing here, basically?
Yeah.
Like, this is stupid.
She's pretty pissed.
So,
Emmett.
Edward plays the piano.
Hot.
I forgot about this. I just read it. But Edward plays the piano and plays a song he writes for her.
Yes.
And in the movie,
and she cries.
It's like Bella's theme, right?
Yep, and she cries in the book about it.
And she cries. He gives her a short tour of the house, and they stop by Carlisle's room, and he explains some different history stuff, how he became a vampire, and how he
Rosalie is a queen for sure. Alice too. Alice is great.
But he explains, like how Carlisle became a vampire and what he did when he became one.
Yeah, there's like a whole chapter on Carlisle's story.
Right, and how he decided to be like a peaceful vampire, and that's how he wanted his family to be, and
basically Carlisle's dad was like a priest back in like the 1600s, I think, and they were like condemning like the vampires, and then he became one, so he reconciled with himself that he would like never be like what the vampire is known to be, basically. And then it kind of describes like his whole history, like that he went off and did certain things and like learned a bunch of things, and like visited those three three other men from Italy and blah blah blah, vampires from Italy.
So they also
did a bunch of
explain
stuff.
the backstories kind of the other vampires too. How Esme lost her baby and then decided to jump up a cliff, and Carlisle saved her by turning her into a vampire. Emmett was mauled by a bear. Jasper, I don't know if they explained Jasper. Did they explain Jasper?
I don't think we learned about him in this first book.
And then they mentioned though that Alice doesn't remember.
Correct.
And she has very
do they mention Jasper in this book?
I don't think they do.
I don't think you know that yet.
Yeah, I don't think they mention Jasper. They do mention the Matter Baby, Jip. And so
The what?
The Matter Baby?
What?
What's the matter, baby? You're supposed to say that. Anyway,
I hate myself. Yeah,
so
okay, that's what I thought.
Basically, they're going through all this stuff, and
all the like details get jumbled in my brain because I've read them so many times.
Right. So they go. Alice bursts in and is like, "Hey, there's gonna be a thunderstorm. We're gonna play baseball." And
Bella's like, "Whatever."
What does that mean? Why? And they explain that they don't explain it at this point, but basically the idea is that they hit the baseball so hard they need to time it with the thunder strikes lightning strikes and the thunder to have it seem normal. And so,
it's a baller ass scene. You're right.
They play baseball basically. There's some
Remember,
some stuff
it's that song by Muse.
Supermassive Black Hole by Muse plays in the movie.
I'm gonna eat these while this is happening.
And they play some baseball, and they're doing like superhuman baseball things, and it's like
superhuman baseball things.
LOL, like hitting the ball like 2 miles away, and then someone's running and catching it. Yeah, I've seen a video of that scene without the filter, and it looks ridiculous, Sean. Like,
is it really?
Yeah, it looks like so.
Can we look at it right now?
I don't know if I can find it, but I can look. Supermassive Black Hole was my nickname in high school. So they played some baseball for a bit, but then, weren't they told that there were some vampires around or something, and they were getting close?
So Alice saw that they were going to be around, but that they were going to veer away from the area.
Yeah, but then what happened is when they played baseball, that alerted them, so they showed up.
Yes, they heard them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's 3 vampires. I do not remember their names.
Okay.
I know.
Can you describe them, and I'll tell you?
Woman vampire.
Victoria.
There's kind of nice vampire.
Yeah, he's French, and his name is Laurent.
Laurent. That's right, Laurent.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
the Black Eyed Peas.
They kind of look like the Black Eyed Peas. And then there's mean vampire man.
James.
That's right, James. Okay. So they show up, and they're like, Edward's concerned because he doesn't want them to smell Bella. But they put her to the side.
They put her to the side, and they like make her take her hair down and like cover herself a little bit. And
so they're having friendly conversation, and they're like, "Hey, can we play baseball with you guys?" And they're kind of like
sure.
Carlisle's like, "Yeah, definitely, blah blah blah," and like, but they're you can tell there's tension.
Tense.
And then the breeze blows.
Correct.
In Bella's hair, and they smell her, and they're immediately like everybody's like at each other, and you could tell James in particular is very like, yo, like I need to do something. Where? Where they cooler heads kind of prevail, and Edward grabs Bella and goes. Right.
Well, Carlisle
is like into the house.
Correct. He's like, we're going to work this out. Like, we're fine. Like, blah, blah, blah. But Edward, like, heard their thoughts.
Right. And so Edward knows that James is going to try to kill her.
Yeah, it's like over. He's like, it's too late. It's already like a game to him. And he kind of blames himself because he's like, I like got so defensive that made the game to him like even more. And he's like a tracker vampire.
Yeah, he's a tracker vampire, which is apparently a thing. And so the idea is they make a plan to save Bella. Jasper and Alice are going to take Bella to Phoenix because that's where she said she was going. And he wouldn't expect him to go where she was going. In the note that she leaves, is that what it is? She leaves a note for Charlie saying she's going to Phoenix?
Correct.
Right, and if he finds the note, blah, blah, blah. And so then Esme...
Well, remember they no, it's not a note. I'm sorry. Remember, they fake a scene. They
fake her yelling at Edward and she wants to go home, and Charlie's like, "Wait, no, don't go!" And she like yells. She says something really mean to Charlie.
Correct. Like, they act.
Isn't this why? Well, Charlie's not acting.
Yeah, but yeah,
she goes.
Yeah.
This is why Mom never stayed, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
She says some fucked up shit to
Charlie.
Some
really crappy stuff.
And then Esme and Rosalie change clothes with Bella,
into her clothes,
so they can try to throw him off the scent and drive away. And then
run away. They're running through woods. Yeah. It gets a lot of different details. So they're doing that. Emmett and Carlisle and Jasper are running a perimeter basically to make sure that they didn't go on like treaty land and stuff, and like other like just seeing if they could catch where they went, because like they also run off, like the vampires also run off, like the other ones I think. And then yeah, you're right. Like they go like, I remember they like Edward's like, well, Edward has to stay behind, but like Alice. Oh no, it's Jasper and Alice, and
they go to Phoenix with
they go to Phoenix. Yeah, and they take a flight, which is kind of funny.
Right.
Like to me, it's just kind of funny. Like, oh, we're just gonna catch a flight really quick.
They take a flight and then they stay in a hotel room, and they're told they have to stay there until Edward tells them because Edward's basically gonna try to hunt this guy himself. He's gonna hunt the hunter.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna once he kills him, he thinks Bella will be safe.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen.
Yeah, Laurent goes to Carlisle's house because he's like, I'm not getting up in this. He's like
Laurent's
gone.
like, hey, yo, I know what's happening. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm getting away from these guys. I'm not a part of this. Just so you know, you guys seem cool. I don't get why you don't eat people, but I'm not gonna be mad about it. I'm out. And so time passes. We find out how you become a vampire during this part. There's a little lore that Alice gives Bella.
Yeah, because basically Edward wanted to keep it from her, but she asks Alice and she tells her.
There's a way you could turn somebody without killing them, basically, because obviously there is, because that's how they became vampires. And so she asks Alice, and Alice tells her. But then what happens is she gets a phone call, right?
Correct.
And
she thinks it's her mother.
She thinks it's her mother, but it's really James.
Correct.
And he says, hey, I'm at your mother's house. If you want her to live,
you need to sneak away.
So their plan is originally to go to the airport and fly back to Seattle.
Or fly elsewhere. Well, so basically the plan was like that they would all go to the airport, and I think like Edward was supposed to meet up with her and go to Buenos Aires.
That's right. They're supposed to go somewhere else. Her and Edward together.
And then like everyone else would go and hunt them down. Right.
But she sneaks away because she doesn't want her mom to die. From Jasper.
From James.
No, she sneaks away from...
Oh, from Jasper and Alice
in the airport. Takes a cab to the ballet studio. Well, first she goes to her house, right?
Correct.
First she goes to her house and she finds like... Is it a note that he leaves her or a tape?
It's a note.
It's a note saying, hey...
I think it's a note. Like, or he tells her to call the number, maybe.
Yeah, and he talks to her, maybe. There's something. But basically, she finds out that he's in the old ballet studio where she took ballet lessons as a kid.
Yeah, I think they talk on the phone again.
Yeah. And she gets there, and he's got, like,
and she realizes that's what Alice was, like, drawing earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because Alice saw the vision of it, but she was like, oh, like, it looks familiar, but, like, I don't know why.
Right.
And then it becomes clear to Bella that's why.
So he kind of traps her, and he's gonna eat her, but he's being,
he tricked her into thinking that her mom was there,
right,
but that was a tape.
There.
Correct.
There was a tape he used, and he played. Jen Bell, thank you for following. He uses the tape to trick her on the phone, and she finds that out, and she's feels stupid, and I think doesn't he throw her into a mirror?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he throws her into the mirror.
He throws her into the mirror, and he's like he's toying with her, like almost like
because he's video recording her,
right?
To like send to Edward or whatever, because it's like a game to him. It's sick.
Right, like he wants to like he's playing with his prey, right?
Yeah. And it was scary. This part was scary.
But that's when Edward and the boys show up, and there's a vampire fight. And they beat his ass, like no question.
Like they literally kill. They talk about how they take his limbs apart.
Yeah, they take them apart piece by piece, on site, and then they got to save Bella, who is losing a lot of blood.
And also, they find out that she got bitten.
Oh, that's right. He bit her, and in the way that would kill her, not in the way that would make her a vampire. So doesn't Edward suck it out of her?
Well, he bit her in a way that it could be either, but she was also badly injured.
Right.
But so they could have let her turn at that point, but Edward doesn't believe that.
Edward doesn't want her to turn.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to just make that decision.
So yes, he does suck her blood.
He sucks her blood to suck the bad blood out.
Yeah.
And he has to take so much care not to just suck her dry.
Correct.
And that's got to be really hard for him because, as we talked about, he very much wants to suck her blood because she smells very good.
Correct.
And so he sucks her, and we fast forward to she's in a hospital bed, and they they covered up by saying she fell out of a window.
Correct. So they say that she would trip like that. Yeah, she ended up meeting. I think it was like that. She ended up meeting their like Edward and his family like at a hotel, and like they like the stories that they like reconcile, and like it wasn't gonna be true that she wanted to leave Forks or whatever, and then like she trips down the stairs and falls out the second story window and then falls onto the ground, and they like talk about how Alice had a lot of fun staging it.
Yes, but she's she wakes up in the hospital and her mom's there, and Edward's there.
Just said, man, I wish Robert Pattinson would suck me.
Yeah, don't we all? And so her mom and her have a nice conversation. Not really important.
Yeah, her mom like is like, oh, you want to be here? And she's like, no.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to be in Phoenix. I was just kidding.
And her mom's like concerned that like she makes a comment about like this boy, like he's like your whole world. Like,
yeah, her mom's a little concerned about Edward. Like, yo, what's the deal with you and Edward? And she's just like, Mom, it's fine, you know. And then Edward's there, and they talk. She's like, why didn't you turn me into a vampire?
Yeah.
You should have fucking turned me into a vampire. What the fuck is wrong with you? I need to be a vampire. Why am I not a vampire? I should have been a vampire already. And he's like, I'm not doing it. And they come to what is called an impasse.
Yes.
And I think Edward calls it an impasse. And
where they'll basically they don't know what they're gonna do.
Right. So that she's mad. She wants to be a vampire. He's like, no, I don't want you to be a vampire. And so it's like kind of like the elephant in the room in their relationship. Like, hey, you know, who's gonna be a vampire?
Yep.
Is it me? It better be me, not just you. And he's like, no. And then
there's epilogue.
The epilogue is the dance.
The prom.
The prom. They go to prom. And does anything happen there? Is it important?
Jacob
I
shows
see the movie in my head, but I don't remember the book.
Jacob shows up at the prom.
That's right, Jacob's there.
And basically tells her that he was paid to do so by Billy to say
That's
like
right, because I forgot this whole subplot with Billy, where Billy finds out that she's hanging out with the Cullens, and he's like, hey, you need to stop doing this or I'm going to tell your father. And she's like, no, you won't. And he's like, well, you're right, I won't, but I think you should stop. And so Billy is kind of being like...
And then Jacob's like, it's so weird, like, my dad paid me to come here to say, like, to like, break up with your boyfriend or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, Bella's standing on Edward's toes to dance. That's true.
Well, isn't it because she has like
has a boot on?
Yeah, she has a boot.
From her leg being broken.
Right. So it'd be pretty tough for her to dance otherwise. But yeah, so, and then she's just kind of like, okay, I'm not going to break up with my boyfriend because you're... And he was like, yeah, honestly, I think this is weird too. Like, Jacob's kind of like, this is like an invasion of someone's privacy, kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know, but I figured why not go to the prom, you know?
Why not go to the prom?
And then...
Well, basically also, Edward starts making a point of, like, having her do things that are, like, regular in the, like, span of, like, a life. So he's like, you should be doing, like, I feel like he's like, well, you should be going to the prom because that's what every high schooler does.
Right.
Like, I'm not taking away the real human moments from you type of thing.
Yeah. And then music plays in the credits. Yay.
Yeah.
And that's, did I miss anything? The Billy thing's a huge thing I missed because that's important. Leading forward, I think.
I don't think you missed anything crazy. Does anyone else think so?
Did I miss anything crazy?
I went to my proms.
Did I miss anything where you guys are like, wow, Mike really dropped the ball?
Who is Jasper?
I mean,
Jasper's one of the bros. The Cullen bros.
Yeah.
The movie does show Victoria at the prom watching them at the end, if you remember that.
You're right, it does. It does.
That is the movie.
But that's the movie. The movie does a lot of things.
The movie does a lot of things.
The movie does a lot of things.
I can't wait for you guys to see this next movie.
Yes.
Who all has never read or like knows what happens next? Are there a lot of people out there?
Yeah. Is there anybody here that hasn't read book 2? Jip.
Oh my
Jip
God.
has not read book 2. That's exciting. I haven't.
The first, like I said, the first episode is coming, and we recorded it, and it is quite long.
So, I have not read them or watched them. Oh, okay. Orpheus
Okay,
Joshua.
okay,
Cool.
okay.
So here's something I'm going to announce. I don't know why I'm holding up this credit card. I'm glad I didn't put it on screen. It's just sitting there.
All my knowledge comes from CBT. Yes.
So
I've never read any of them. Yay. Okay.
If you're a Patreon member of any kind, $1, $5, $10, the new episode will be up this Monday. But for everybody else, it'll be up next Monday, and we're gonna try to put it out a week early. For Patreon members. So just so you guys know.
You met some of them?
Who did you meet?
Ooh.
Yeah, who did V meet? This is important podcast. Important podcasting stuff. But yeah, so Patreon people, it will be up a week early every week is the plan.
Yay.
Hopefully I can meet that plan every time. We're going to try.
Might have to sign up for the Patreon.
Otherwise, it'll be out a week after. It's not paywalled like permanently. It's
Should
just a week early.
Should I say another thing that might be on Patreon later?
What?
The other book.
Oh. No, because we don't know how we're doing that yet.
Yeah. The Wolf Pack, the Volturi. Okay. Sweet.
You want to meet Emmett? M-E-A-T, Tyler? What does that mean?
Meet.
Maybe we're going to start meeting Emmett.
Ooh.
Meeting him. Anyway.
That's really cool, V. That's awesome.
I will say, we've obviously done the first chapter of this, so I know what happens in the first chapter of the book. And
a lot of people don't.
I'm not going to say anything other than there's a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the first chapter, and I've been sitting here like, what the fuck happens? Because we haven't recorded the second episode yet.
Yes.
And so I'm like, fuck, what happens at the end of this chapter? And I know because it's a book, it's going to be like stupid and not be as big of a deal as I'm making it in my head, but I'm still like, yo, what fucking happened?
Yeah.
Someone. So Tara and I are
like
going to record.
Yay!
Do I give the impression I don't? Just out of curiosity, do I give the impression that I don't like this?
It's fun.
I think it's fun. I thought the movie was so funny.
It's so good.
They
Second movie is a little crazy. Third movie is a little long. Fourth movie is a little. Oh yeah, I forgot there's a lot of movies.
OJ loved the movie. OJ was cackling, like through text somehow.
It's like so good.
Anyway, you guys, thank you so much
for joining
us today
for this
live
Twilight
episode of Coached by Tara. Like I said, if you're a Patreon member, Monday it will be live for you. Otherwise, next Monday, May 23rd. And we're going to keep trying to go in every week from there till we're done with book 2. And then
we're just going to keep rolling.
And I promise you, the gap between season 2 and 3 will not be nearly as large.
We just, bought a house and stuff.
Right. So, thank you guys for listening and watching. What do I say?
I don't remember what we say at the end.
I said something new that you liked on the new episode.
I don't remember what it is now either.
That was your weekly CBT or something like that. Hope you enjoyed your CBT. That's what it was. Hope you enjoyed your CBT. Thank you for coaching me, Tara. I do.
Thank you for
coaching
You're
me,
welcome.
Tara. And I hope you guys enjoyed your CBT. We'll see you next time.
Bye.